I'm Kenny Bello. I'm a Category 1 racer with the Herring Gas Racing Team. Been racing since 1988 and have about 150,000 miles on my legs. The first I heard of the hurricane, I was in French Guiana doing the Tour of French Guiana, which is the Caribbean answer to the Tour de France. Katrina hit Monday morning, and we were on our way back by Monday evening. We got back into the country, and it was a difficult task getting back to New Orleans. And once I got here, by about noon, I was already in a boat looking for people. You know, the search and rescue effort lasted, for me personally, it lasted about 14 days. I was in the boats with the National Guard pulling people out of their houses and off their roofs. And after they left town, I was really lost for something to do. I had no idea. There was no purpose for me here anymore. There was just nothing. And so I immediately started dragging people around. I'm really overwhelmed with the amount of people that came here. I really didn't think there's going to be more than 15 or 20 people. This is very heartwarming. When you're from New Orleans and people show an interest, it really touches you. And being from New Orleans, it's something unlike being from any other city. It's just a really important town to America. And if you don't believe that, your energy bills and your food prices next year are going to reflect how important New Orleans is. If you can look on the side of this food mart here, you can see the water lines. This was a real special place for me. If you don't know, I was driving search and rescue boats up here during the storm. We parked our boats, we tied them up to pump number 4 every night. Every day we'd have 4 boats. Usually by the end of the day we either sank one by running into a fire hydrant or a parked car, or we just blew the prop off of it. Back this way, in that quadrant of that neighborhood, I would normally bring reporters back there because my depth finder on my boat, there was an intersection back there where it regularly read 21 feet. That was a lot of water in the streets. Another reason I stopped here is because Memorial Hospital. If you're from here, you know it as Baptist. We went in there with the National Guard. Now, one thing the National Guard knows how to do is they know how to count. They count bullets, they count soldiers, they count jeeps, they count everything, and they know how to count bodies. They went in there and counted 59 bodies. When FEMA got in there, their count was 45. Where are the other 14? Your guess is as good as mine. I don't know why the discrepancy, but we counted 59 bodies in there. There were 2 ground level parking lots. In the back ground level parking lot, there were 2 bodies in there. They were wearing hospital scrubs and white shoes. They were workers. I don't know what color, what race, if they were male or female, I couldn't tell because the decomposition rate really increased with the water. There was so many chemicals and bacteria in the water. It was really disturbing because they stayed in there until day number 16. At about day number 8 or 9, the water started receding a lot in here, and it was getting difficult to get across some of these intersections. Up until that point, we really didn't see many dead bodies except when we had to go into houses and we occasionally find somebody who was deceased. On that particular day, we counted 21 dead bodies floating in the streets of New Orleans. I've got video of us standing in this boat, and one of the soldiers with me said, hey, let's just be quiet for a second. And we filmed around. The only thing you heard was the alarm bell off of this Walgreens that was going ding, ding, ding. When it first started, 2 weeks earlier, it was going brrrr. It was a battery-operated alarm. That was the only thing you can hear. There were no birds, no crickets. It was just absolutely dead quiet. Our next stop is the Superdome area. It's going to be the only stop on the tour where we're going to see effects of natural disaster. The rest of it is man-made. Okay. If y'all look to your left, this is the Hyatt Regency. All those white panels are missing windows. Y'all saw that on the news. A lot of people are under the perception that hurricane winds swirl. They don't. They're straight line winds. It was north winds. For several hours, those winds were hitting this building and coming in between these buildings. What it created was a mini tornado in between those, a little vortex, and it stayed there for hours. those windows weren't blown out, they were sucked out along with all the contents inside the room. So we had a lot of people from New Orleans who came and evacuated into this hotel. They had all their belongings inside on this side of the building, and they all ended up in the street. Right here where you're standing was about 5.5 feet of water. The Superdome is right up here. We don't really need to go see that. There's nothing significant to see about it, but y'all know the story at the Superdome. But all this area was completely underwater. It looks pretty much back to normal now, but there was a lot of water in the streets. From here, we're heading straight through the hospital district onto Canal Street down into Lakeview. Once we get into Lakeview, the streets really turn bad, so hold on to your handlebars. Is everybody here? Can y'all hear me? You might want to group up. What you see over here is the levee break. This is the main levee break for Lakeview. It's a couple of 100 yards wide. These brown things you see here, those are sheet pilings. That was the original construction of this wall. It's not the best idea. The Berkeley engineers were here 2 weeks ago, and they said the fix that they have now is not substantial enough to survive another Katrina-sized hurricane. These walls were built using federal money with local contractors and local politicians watching over. Very, very bad idea in New Orleans. We're standing in front of Mr. Hottie's house. He's been kind enough to let us walk around if we want to. Don't go on to the right side of the house. There's some bricks falling. This was a truly, truly devastating catastrophe that happened to him. Like I said, when we started this is man-made. This happened after the hurricane blew through. You know, there's nothing in here that should have happened. A lot of people died in here. Right now, I'm a contractor. I'm working on a lot of these houses. So far, 4 of the houses I'm working on, people died inside. This affected everybody. Rich, poor, black, white, it doesn't matter. Like Junior Rodriguez from Chalmette said in a big news conference, we're all trailer trash now. We're going that way. Everybody turn around. Hey, if y'all notice as you walk past here, check out the level of the water in the canal and the level of the roofs of these houses. That's sea level, or something close to sea level. All right, can you all hear me? You might want to come up closer here. I got some real specific things to show you. This is a sheet piling. Once they were drilled down, they placed these concrete panels on top of them. I'm not sure if they were made in place or they were placed in place. But you wouldn't build a swimming pool like this. You had a concrete panel connected to a concrete panel by nothing but this rubber gasket right here.
So there was no rebar in between?
There was nothing holding these together. You can't see anything. It's just this rubber gasket. We can walk up to other pieces that haven't failed, and you can see it. It's clear as day. With all this water pushing on here, it only had to have a little bit of separation on just one of these panels, and that was enough. You can see how much this one moved. Everything between here and that, I don't even know if they found them, but these houses were all destroyed all the way to the other canal, all the way to the 17th Street Canal. The water rushed through this neighborhood and deposited about 5 feet of sand in most of the houses, and there's really nothing to save here. This house we're standing right in front of is Mr. Weiser's house. Mr. Weiser gave us permission to walk on his property, but not to enter it. Mr. Weiser has been told by the Corps of Engineers that half of his land is going to be taken for this project. He was also told by the mayor that go ahead and start rebuilding. He's blowing his money by people telling him that he has any kind of hope of rebuilding. It's absolutely an unsalvageable structure, in my opinion. Hey, Dave? Hey, man, we're getting out of your hair right now. All right. Yeah, we're walking out of here right now.
Excavations have a way of collapsing in on you.
We're in New Orleans East.
Okay.
New Orleans East is about 45,000 homes. This is the house I grew up in. It's my mother's house. I brought you here not mainly because of that, but it's just a typical house in New Orleans East. Everything here is 40 years old or younger. The house directly behind my mom's house is brand new. The lady had just moved her first piece of furniture in there. She hadn't moved in yet, and it's completely ruined. The water line here is right above the doorknobs. The highest water line you can see is the oil marks, but the true water line is about 6 inches to a foot above that. All of New Orleans East is about between 40 and 50,000 homes. 99% of those houses are totaled. And there was no levee break here. The problem with New Orleans East was the industrial canal. When the storm surge came in, it hit the industrial canal and the Mississippi River Gulf outlet a lot stronger than it would have if we had more wetlands out there. When it hit the walls out there, the walls were about 3 or 4 feet too low. So for many hours, that water just poured in. And like I said, 99% of all the homes out here flooded. My mother did not need flood insurance. Luckily, she had it, but a lot of her neighbors didn't. The reason she didn't need flood insurance was, one, because FEMA told you didn't need it. The lenders didn't require you to have flood insurance in a B flood zone. They told you, number one, your house is high enough, and number two, the levees are strong enough. There are a lot of people out here, like the people across the street, had absolutely no flood insurance. Somebody should be responsible for that. The federal government depends on this city to run the second biggest port in the country, the longest port in the world. 35% of all the oil and gas that comes through into the United States comes through Louisiana in one fashion or another, and people have lost their livelihoods. They've lost everything that's important to them. There's absolutely no reason for my mother to do any work to this house because there's no guarantee that the levees are going to be strong enough or she's going to be protected. The markings on the house, these are civilian markings, the 0 with the 99. That's a civilian marking. They came here by boat and wrote that they had just checked the house. They busted the windows or they went in through the roof to check the houses. When you see the X's on the houses, the X is a military marking or a police marking, and the top of the X is the date that the house was searched. On the left of the X was the unit number or the police group that was searching. On the right is the number of alive that was found inside, and on the bottom is the number of dead found inside. There were 3 dead found on this street, and just multiple helicopter rescues off of this street. We're in the heart of Chalmette right now. This is Buccaneer Villa, typical house. This is actually one of the higher parts of Chalmette. There's a Cliff Bar in the truck for anybody who can point to where the water line is on any of these houses.
Above the window.
Huh?
Above the window. What,
Teresa? See the debris on the roof next door, the log? That floated up there. The guy in this 2-story house out here paddled out of the 2nd-story window in a canoe. A lot of people died out here. This is where that nursing home was, where 34 people had deceased. This is a Catholic church here. 3 priests died inside of that. Just a lot of dead out here. And these are all, as you can see, working class people, middle class people. They took care of their houses, and nobody knows what to do. You know, they're all gutted. Not only the 1st floor, but the 2nd floor is completely destroyed. There's another neighborhood down the road where a house with the slab still attached, lifted up, floated down the street, made the corner. So, you know, there's a picture of it sitting there, and you can't even tell where it came from because there's no empty lot anywhere on the street. There's very little to be saved here, but people are already trying. They're gutting their houses. These are real industrious people down here in St. Bernard, but you know, without electricity, without services, without banks, grocery stores, neighbors, you know, what do you have? You're going to have one fixed house in a blighted neighborhood. So it's a really bad situation for anybody that owned a house down here. Everybody, we're going into the 9th Ward now. It's about 3 or 4 miles away in tailwinds. This will be the most striking part of the tour. It will enlighten you.
Oh my God.
We're in the lower 9th Ward. There's still police running around here with cadaver dogs. The death count is still going up, and this is one of the only places where the death count continues to rise. It's obviously total destruction. There's a big push going on not to bulldoze the 9th Ward. There's also a lot of people who want to bulldoze the 9th Ward. The debate is this a house or not, and should it be bulldozed? Should it be moved out of the way? We had more than a quarter of a mile, 1,500 feet of levee break. One of the things where the rumor came from dynamiting was they kept hearing loud booms. I don't know if you've ever heard a large barge empty hit anything, but it's really, really loud. This is a 3-story barge. It's empty, we believe. On the other side of this barge, there's a school bus that it's sitting on top of, and it's smashed like a pancake. This area is, you know, it's got a long road ahead of it, and you know, people are very, very passionate about it. They don't want it to be torn down. You can understand. This was their homes for generations and generations. But what's going to become of it is you know, is just nothing but roadblocks in front of us. Because you've got people saying that, you know, this is my house, you can't bulldoze it. And you got people saying that, well, if I'm going to build my house, you need to get this stuff out of the way. Okay, bridge quarter. Going left. That way. Yeah. The national media likes to highlight the Ninth Ward. The death rate in Katrina was spread pretty equally around all around the city in all the flood zones, and there wasn't one place where there were, you know, a massive amount more deaths than another. That makes people frustrated who live in other areas that they've got no attention. The media is trying to make this into a racial issue, and the politicians are trying to blame each other. And everybody seems to be forgetting that 80% of the entire city flooded. We lost 297,000 homes. There's still 450,000 people displaced from their homes. It's a heartbreaking situation for them, and whatever you can do to help, whatever you think would be helpful is greatly appreciated.